What's your vision like? Do you wear glasses? I know I don't, but I know people that do wear glasses. Now, this isn't a podcast episode about glasses, it's a podcast episode about vision. We almost always think of vision as, do you need glasses or you don't? Do you see 20/20 or do you see something less than that? But what I've learned over the years, especially as when I became a dad, we also have this lens of how we see life that we all have glasses on. And these glasses filter how we see our life. So much of my life has been filtered through high school lens of how I grew up. So growing up in high school, I didn't have a lot of friends. I didn't feel really accepted, and I didn't really know who I was. And I just always felt kind of like on the sidelines of life. So this lens was kind of like permanently there for me to see. And every opportunity, every job opportunity, every person that would come into my life, I would always see this distorted version of it. Sometimes an analogy that I use is it's often like beer goggles. Like you're literally walking around with a distorted version of reality. A few weeks ago, I talked about how do you tell your story matters. This is kind of the same idea because how you see your story, how it's played out, what it's going to play out in the future, where do you see the ending, all of that kind of becomes your vision. And it's ironic, but 2020 really helped me see my life for the very first time in 2020 vision. Because often what I learned through 2020, through all of the life that I've lived up to this point now, is that there are so many things in my life that were just kind of distorting that vision, whether it be from my work that I was choosing to do, how I was showing up, the emotions, my attitude, all of those things were distorting my vision and just kind of cementing that this is how my reality looks. And the crazy part is we can take the glasses off and we can take the beer goggles off, but it's often scary. And there's a reason why we most likely don't, because those first few times that you do take the glasses off and you do take the beer goggles off, you kind of realize that the place is kind of a big giant mess. Sometimes our vision can actually make everything look perfect. I know there's dads out there listening that you probably wake up every day thinking like everything is exactly how it's supposed to be, and then something happens. Someone comes into your life and says, our life sucks. And you're like, where did that come from? Often it's because of our vision. We chose to see what we wanted to see. We chose to only really see what aligned with the narrative of who we are and why we do things in the morning and why we do things during the day. And it's this 2020 vision that can really start changing how you see the future. A simple analogy, and I wouldn't have been able to predict it other than it's happened, is through the course of 2020, and as the spring come up here in southern Wisconsin, I have noticed the birds every single time I go outside. Now, I didn't always notice the birds chirping in the morning, but man, do I notice them now. Like I hear and see so many more things, little things, all around me. And now it's just being mindful of those. But before, when I had to rush to get to work in the morning, when I had to rush to get to a meeting, when I had to take a work call on my way to work because I was already behind before I got ahead. And that feeling kind of almost suppresses life as it happens around you. I love hearing the birds every morning now. And it's something I'm mindful. Something I'm grateful for. Like, man, it's so great. One, to hear the birds and it's not winter. And two, how abundant life is when you actually slow down to hear it and see it. But man, when you're walking around with those beer goggles and your vision is distorted, it can feel like life is going at a blur. And I think that's something that COVID gave us is life was going so fast for so many busy dads that when COVID happened and the world slowed down, we really didn't know what to do, because that was that first moment that I had talked about in the beginning of this episode where you take those glasses off and you're like, man, this place is a mess. And that's, I think, what a lot of people had to deal with when COVID hit is, man, this place is a mess. We were going so fast and walking by so many little small things that we didn't even know they were there. And I'm reminded of a lesson I learned in the Marine Corps, and it's one of my most fundamental lessons that I try to apply in different areas of life, is that we don't die on the battlefield in the Marine Corps because we miss the big things. We die because we miss the small things. It's that tripwire around the corner of that building we're getting ready to clear that's going to kill us. And we have to be slow, mindful, and cautious with that tripwire. But if we're not those things, we're not going to be able to see it. And that's often how life works. And we can often see, like, when we're going fast, when we're only looking at the big things, we're only focused on what we can see. It's those little things, like forgetting to pick your kids up at school, forgetting that you got practice tonight and you wanted to get something else done. Those are the things that really take you out. And you're like, just build on the dad guilt and build on all these different things for how you feel throughout the day. So back to the original question. Do you see life in 2020 vision? And if not, why not? And the question I would ask to identify that is, what are you trying to see and not see? Sit with that question. Love to hear your answer. Hit me up on Instagram at Business of Fatherhood, and I'd love to hear your answers to that question. And with that, I'll be back with you again tomorrow.